Hello everybody and welcome or welcome back to the second shelf and to another video in the 12 classics series. If you are not familiar with it, if you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm happy to have you. The 12 classics are 12 books, classics that I picked, written by women, that I picked at the beginning of the year and to read one each month. And normally I do, a random pick, but for August I wanted to read a classic in translation, and the pick for August was this one by Sei Shonagon, The Pillow Book, translated from the Japanese by Meredith McKinney. This is a relatively new translation, 2007, 2009, something like that. I would definitely encourage you to pick this translation. I think it's an improvement from what I read compared with the other one. And if you are reading this for women in translation, you have also a female translator. By the way, I can't believe this is already book number 8. We only have 4 more books to go. Anyway, this is the oldest book on the list, published in 1002, and it's the account, the diaries, loosely. I will explain more about the diaries, but the diaries written by Sei Shonagon, a gentlewoman, meaning a lady in waiting, living at the court, the imperial court in Japan, from the end of the 10th century until the beginning of the 11th century. After the empress died, Sei Shonagon left the court, and we don't really know what happened with her or to her, whether she got a family or whether she married. We don't know. But this is her account of her life at the imperial court. And I said diary, but please understand that word loosely. It's not your typical diary like on the 28th of August, this and this and this happened, or I did such. No, it's more, there are no dates. The entries are numbered, if you can see that. But there are no dates at the entries, and some entries are just she talks about a certain event, somebody visiting, or something funny happened, somebody spilled coffee, but a lot of the entries are more reflective. So she names rivers that she likes, and so there's very short entry, rivers or mountains, but also things that strike her, like a lot of the entries are things that are beautiful, or things that are touching, things that are annoying, things that anger me, and those are hilarious, I can tell you. Like, she doesn't like when somebody enters a room, opens a door to enter a room, and doesn't close the door behind her. I feel her. I don't like that either. So it's understand diary loosely. And if you are interested, maybe you read along with me, that is fabulous, but maybe you didn't and you still contemplating on reading this, I would definitely encourage you to invest in this. First of all, the newer translation, but also in this Penguin book, because it has a helpful introduction, but it also has a chronology, so you get the life. So here is the chronology, so you can you see the setting. That is helpful, but most helpful are the annotations in the back. They are really extensive. They explain a lot, and I think unless you are already familiar with life in 10th, 11th century imperial Japan, I'm not. So I really appreciated these annotation and explanations about, because it gave the reading experience so much more depth and understanding. Because for me, this was an alien world, or this is still an alien world. A little less now that I read it, but it's an alien world. I read one other book from that, roughly that time period, about 100 years later, The Tale of Genji, which is a novel about a noble man called Genji. And this is obviously diaries. But I don't know a lot about Imperial Japan. I don't know a lot about Japanese history at that time. So for me, it's really the glimpse into a completely foreign world, which is fascinating. And what I learned from this book, but it also from The Tale of Genji, is that, how formalistic a life is. It's very ceremonial. There are also, I should say, there are also little sketches in the book, for instance, about clothing. And if you look at the clothing, I mean, it must have taken, I don't know, an hour to get dressed with all those layers and, how you, so it's a very a structured, very, ceremonial kind of life. And of course, it's not the life of most people in Japan during that time. It's a life at court. Very few people. So it's the elite, the nobility, but still it gives you a glimpse also into the culture, the importance of poetry, for instance, that we learn from this book. So some of the reflections are completely alien to me. For instance, one of the things she mentions that she really dislikes, things are that are annoying, is snow on a commoner's house, because snow is supposed to be the epiphany of beauty, and it's not supposed to be on a commoner's house. So you cringe when you read. At least I cringed when I read this, and also it's alien. And then there are these reflections, like I said, she's annoyed when somebody enters a room, opens the door and doesn't close it behind her. I can totally relate. So it's a really interesting combination of things that I can not understand at all, and things that I could have written or somebody in my time could have written. And that also, I feel, makes it really an interesting read. I read this, by the way, together with Heidi from my reading life, so I'm sure she will talk about this as well. And we both enjoyed the humor of the author when she talks about these events, or when she talks about certain encounters that she had. It's also interesting, the relationship, we learn about the relationship between men and women. She's very open about sexual encounters. I mean, not that she's pornographically detailing sex, but it's not a taboo to talk about a lover and that she hates when they snore, stuff like that. And it's also obviously not considered immoral to have sexual relations while you're not married as a woman. I mean, in all societies, it's never considered immoral if you're a man, but in a lot of societies, it was and still is considered immoral if you're a woman. Not here, it seems. So it's a weird mix, what you learn about this society, and yeah, it's not, and it's also difficult to say whether is this good from a literary point of view. I mean, it's not a novel. It's first of all nonfiction, but there is nothing for me to compare it to. I have never read anything like this from 1002, the year 1002, another pillow book, another diary. So I have no frame of reference. So I value this because it's exceptional. And I think it's a really, it's not difficult to read at all. Having said that, the explanations and the annotations help to get a better grasp and of things and a better grip on the material, but it's not at all difficult to read. And like I said, it's oftentimes really, really funny. So I enjoyed my time with the Pillow Book, and I'm glad that I read this very, very old classic, the oldest on this particular list of the 12 classics. If you read with me, or if you had read the Pillow Book before, let me know, of course, what you thought about it. So there's only 4, can you see that? 4 more in here. So let's not be difficult and just pick one. Oh, the Book of the City of Ladies, that is by Christine de Pizan. That's the second oldest on the list, if I remember correctly. And it's also in translation, because it's translated from the French by Rosalind Brown Grant. And this is a one of the oldest, I would say, feminist feminist books, reflections on womanhood and what would it be to live in the city of ladies. And Christine de Pizan, she lived 1364 to 1430, was France's first professional woman of letters. Her pioneering book of the City of Ladies begins when feeling frustrated and miserable after reading a male writer's tirade against women. She has a dreamlike vision where 3 virtues, reason, rectitude, and justice, appear to correct this view. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to this one. And it's not August anymore, it's September, but I could have read this for Women in Translation Month, so I'm really happy that I picked this for September. Maybe you want to read with me, or maybe you have read this already, but this will be our September pick. And then just to give you an outlook of the future, there are 3 more left. This one, Charlotte Perkins Gilman Herland, also female utopia. Then Miles Franklin, My Brilliant Career. This is the only Australian book on the list. And Margaret Cavendish, The Blazing World and Other Writings. And she was a 17th century writer. And this is also, it's, I think, the first sci-fi, if you can say that. So these are the 3 that we will read in October, November, and December. But for now, for September, Christine de Pizan, The Book of the City of Ladies. Very excited about that. So this was the review of the Pillow Book by Sei Shonagon, translated from the Japanese by Meredith McKinney. And I'm looking forward to the next one. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. As always, talk to me in the comments, and I will see you all soon in the next one.